Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon supporter Wayne Fitzpatrick. If you'd like to learn how you can contribute to the podcast and keep it alive, please go to schooloflaughs.com/PATREON. Thanks, Wayne. And we also have another sponsor.
Hi, this is Leslie Norris Townsend, and I want to invite you to be a part of the Clean Comedy Challenge 2017 in Pasadena, California, and in Chicago, Illinois. The Clean Comedy Challenge invites comedians of all levels to have a chance to work on a real comedy stage with real comedy pros watching and privately critiquing you. It's Eddie Brill, Dwayne Kennedy, Dobie Maxwell, Jimmy Brogan, Dennis Regan. They'll all be on board for these private critiques and seminars, so you don't want to miss out. It's no auditioning, early fee before May 1st. Go to www.cleancomedychallenge.com. When you register, make sure you mention the School of Laughs podcast so I know where you came from.
Welcome to the School of Laughs podcast, brought to you by schooloflaughs.com. Whether you're an aspiring comedian, a part-time pro, or a speaker who wants to become funnier, this is the podcast for you. We'll break down tools, tips, and techniques to help you get bigger, better, and more bookable. And now, here's the show.
Thanks again to our sponsors, the Clean Comedy Challenge and Wayne Fitzpatrick, who has joined us on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/School of Laughs or schooloflaughs.com/PATREON to learn how you can support the podcast. And if you're at the $7 or more a month level, like Wayne is, you'll also be included in Club 52, where you'll receive an email each week helping you get your business and your comedy a little further, faster. Thanks, Wayne. Today's podcast is with Chuck Johnson. Chuck is a guy I've known, again, one of these guys I've known since the mid-'90s, who used to work at the Comedy Zone, worked there for 3 years between 95 and 98, learned how to kind of book comics, find venues, do promotion, all that stuff, and then branched out and started his own thing, which became Summit Comedy Inc. in 1998. So he's been doing his own thing, having his own company running for 19 years, and you don't do that if you're doing it wrong. Chuck is one of these guys who's a go-getter, smart guy, and loves comedy. You'll hear throughout the podcast that he still loves listening to, watching, booking, and befriending comedians. And that's not always the case. A lot of times people kind of get jaded after a while. Chuck is not one of those guys. He's a good guy, books a lot of, like I say, college comedians. He's going to give us some insight into how, if you're thinking about getting into the college market, things you can do, steps you can take, moves you can make, and mistakes you can avoid to help you get there. So really appreciate his time. I did have a little technical problem with the beginning of the podcast, and the audio was kind of garbled, so I had to cut that out. In that first part, we were just kind of talking about getting a start in college, when he was actually the guy on campus that would go to these NACA conferences and book entertainment and book him in the venues there at Appalachian State U, where he went to in North Carolina, and ask him who some of the bands were that he booked that kind of blew up shortly thereafter. And on one night, he had Rusted Root, who's one of my favorite bands, kind of a jam band, and Dave Matthews right when he was getting ready to shoot to the top of the charts, and was able to book Dave Matthews for $9,000 and the Rusted Root gang for $1,000. So a $10,000 show that, man, any college would love to have, and he had them both there on the same night. Pretty cool. So we talked about that, and then also about him moving around a little bit when he was a kid. He was a Navy brat, so I mean, he lived in multiple places, Cuba, Iceland, and then landed in North Carolina, where he started his Summit Comedy Incorporated. So we covered a little bit of that, and at this point I had asked him to kind of break down NACA for comics who might be thinking about performing for colleges, and we'll jump in right here.
Regarding NACA, there are 7 regional conferences. You can look at naca.org and kind of see where they all are. There's the South, there's the Northeast, there's the Mid-Atlantic, Northern Plains, West, Central. Those are kind of the different regions where they have regional conferences throughout the year. There's 6 in the fall, there's 1 in the spring, and then they have a big national conference, and that just kind of varies. They move it all over the place. It's usually bigger cities like Boston, Nashville. It was in Minneapolis a couple years ago. It was in Baltimore this February. So, and that's kind of on a grander scale where they'll have more bigger names, like some of the bigger agencies like the William Morrises, the ICMs, APA, CAA, and such. They'll go in there and showcase some of their bigger comedians and bands, et cetera. So, but the regionals are usually a little bit more smaller end as far as the talent wise, especially with comedy. So.
And at those conferences, they're looking at everything bands and sometimes some pretty odd stuff, like the guys that paint a picture upside down and backwards and then flip it over at the last second. all those.
For sure.
And I remember going, as a college student to those things and just watching and like, how cool is it that I've got a pocket full of money basically and I can pick what I want to bring back to campus. So it's a different thing. Like I wish there was a corporate version of NACA where all the HR people came in with big old budgets. It's like there's some things like speaker showcases and things where it's a miniature version of that. But the fact that you have a national thing for college where they have to spend the money, it's just a great opportunity. So you got into that full swing, and then when did you start representing comics exclusively in the NACA market?
That was literally right out of the gate. Also, when I started, I kind of, again, I was trying anything. I actually decided to try management, and I right out of the gate, I managed 3 comedians. One was Reno Collier, one was Mark Ryan, and another guy named Mike Allen. So I was doing that for about 2 years, and it really wasn't even management. It's more like a glorified agent manager. So I was just handling all their bookings and just trying to get them, seen by as many people as I could and such. Mm-hmm. But as far as the NACA world, I was doing the same thing. So those guys, I was submitting to the NACAs, et cetera, and other people like. My oldest client in the college market is Roy Wood Jr., and he's been with me since he started. So I started in 98. I think he got in the market at 2000, 2001. So yeah, me and Roy have been working that long together just in the college market. So it's just so funny. He's been in it so long. He just got the NACA Hall of Fame award.
Did he really?
This February. Yeah. So
yes,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's no better guy out there to be pulling for and working with, so that's awesome. And I saw on your roster you also have Eric O'Shea, who's kind of
he's a legend. I mean, he was with the Joey Edmonds agency for quite a long time, and I think he's been with me 9 or 10 years now. So yeah, I mean, we have some pretty big heavy hitters. Jesse Campbell does really well. Eric O'Shea, Colin Moulton is a guy that actually doesn't showcase a lot in the college market, but just he's just a beast as far as stand-up wise. Arvin Mitchell, Francisco Ramos, Kevin Bozeman, Chloe Hilliard. We got a ton of guys and gals. I pretty much kind of have the market, I don't want to say corner, but I know the need that is out there, and we just kind of tap into what is needed, and we listen to our clients, and we're always bringing on new people, and sometimes we have to let people go too. I mean, sometimes the guys just get. The material starts changing into material that doesn't fit the 18 to 22-year-old ear, and we just kind of have to cut them loose. But it happens. It's part of the business. So the thing is, you and I and every other comedian gets older every day. The college market stays the same every year. It's just always 18 to 22-year-olds, and just the way it is, and the way it always will be. So
yeah. Well, on that same front, how do you go about discovering new younger comics?
Well, it's a little bit of me searching and people reaching out to us. It's a combination of the two. I literally get at least 3 to 5 emails a day from people trying to get into the college market, because it's such a if you've done your homework, you can realize it's a pretty lucrative part of the business to be in. I mean, you kind of think of I always kind of looked at the 4 spokes of the wheel. It's really just the crews, corporate, college, and clubs. I mean, those are the big ones. So if you can kind of work all of them, that's obviously you can make a pretty good living doing that. I mean, you mentioned Eric O'Shea. He maybe does 1 club a year, doing okay in just the college market alone. So I do go, I'm constantly looking out to see the Google feeds with new comedians, et cetera, people to watch, Googling new people all the time. I go out to comedy festivals periodically to see people. I talk with other managers and such and say, hey, listen, reach out to me first if you got anybody new that you're working with, and that'd be a good fit, and kind of go from there. So
That's great. And you're talking about, you know what the college clients need. What are they looking for in the comics that come to their campus?
As a general rule, I mean, clean, young helps. I mean, if you're in your late 50s, and you just look like a dad,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, the material is not going to match up to what they're going to want to hear. So it definitely helps. I mean, I don't always want to, bring in the ageism and say, hey, if you are X, Y, Z amount of years old, you're not going to be able to do this market. Because I've seen guys I've seen guys like Larry Omaha, who's obviously a little older, and he's gone in and killed at NACAs. So I don't want to ever discourage anybody on that, but I'm just saying the trends typically are leaning towards the younger and high energy, different. The cleanliness factor is a big one too, just because at NACAs, I always just kind of train our comic showcasing to keep it as clean as possible, because once you have to get through the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper is typically a student advisor or somebody signing off on the contracts and such. Sometimes it is the college students directly that the schools will give a little bit more leeway to make those business decisions. But most of the time, there is some kind of advisor involved, and I just have to feel from over the years that they have to sign off on it. And if something went wrong, as far as all right, speed bumps, as far as somebody being really edgy and such, they have to answer to somebody. So I've run into this where they're like, all right, well, why did you book that guy and using the F-bomb as a comma in their act? I mean, it just the kids typically don't care about the material once you're there, but I just, that's kind of the, I just always feel like I have to touch on the cleanliness factor and explain that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be in your tool belt regardless. If you're a comic and you want to get TV credits or anything else, you should always have that in your showcase set as well, like you said.
Yeah, and there are some guys on my roster that are just again, I try to check all the boxes with our roster that we're not just bringing on other people just because they're funny. Because there are tons of great funny comedians that have come to me and said, "Hey, we want to be on your roster." I'm like, "Oh man, I love you, but I've got 5 just like you." Different is good. It's definitely a factor involved as far as my choosing new talent. And I also have an agent that works for me, Melissa Beer, and she's amazing. And we're kind of on the same page in that aspect too. So if it gets down to ultimately, I have the say in who to bring on, but every now and then I'll be on the fence with somebody, and I kind of run it by her as well and say, "Hey, what do you think here?" And usually, like I said, we're on the same page in that aspect. So, and we don't bring on a lot of new people every year. We don't. I mean, maybe 2 or 3, but then usually when that happens, we usually let 2 or 3 go. Right. So it's kind of that scenario where I could bring on 100 people on our roster, but is everyone getting service properly? No. I mean, I see a lot of the big agencies that do that, where they have 100 comics on the roster, but then I have those comics emailing me looking for work. So right. I never wanted that. I kind of like it, kind of like the 30 or less range. That's kind of where we've kind of stuck with our roster, just because we want everybody to be happy. We want everybody to be working and getting work. And we kind of let the market choose too. If we submit every one of our clients like in a budget range, because everybody has kind of a price tag that they go out for, and the highs and lows, and nobody has an exact price tag, as you know, and maybe not everybody knows that out there. But some comics are negotiable, so we kind of know everybody's kind of pay range. So when a school calls us or emails us and says, "Hey, we got XYZ, who do you got?" We'll put everybody that fits that range in there. And if you haven't been selected to showcase, or selected to be booked at a college like in a year, that tells us that the market is looking elsewhere. Melissa has a rule, like she refers to it as like her closet, or clothes in her closet rule. So like, like, hey, if I don't wear that sweater in a year, like I typically get rid of it.
So there's a lot of comics at Goodwill that used to do college gigs.
Goodwill the Goodwill comedy tour. Maybe we should start that.
Hey, I think you can find a lot of guys shopping in there in between gigs. Hey, you touched on something that I think, just to make it really clear to comics, is the fact that you want to have a diverse roster. And I know even when I first started even looking at maybe doing college stuff or even corporate, I would look at a website and like, oh, they've got this guy. I'm just like that guy. I would be a good fit. And it was the worst fit because they already had that guy. So
Sure, yeah.
So when comics are looking at your roster, if they don't see somebody and they're like them, that's a good fit. It's not that you want to have 10 of the same guys. And I think that gets lost on comics.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then we look at it like, all right, well, like, hey, we've got one guitar comedian. Should we bring on another one? And you look at the demand, and then that's just it. So it's like, all right, 2 guitar comedians, maybe, not 3. I was even, I was more of a comedy purist even. Like when we brought on a magician about, I don't know, 6 years ago, I was very skeptical about even doing that. Just because,
Really?
it says some at comedy, and granted, there are magic shows that have humor in there. A lot of them are a little bit hacky and such. But until I found this one guy, is a guy named Ben Seidman, and he's an amazing magician, and he's funny, and he's just great, and he's very entertaining. So I was like that was me letting my guard down to bring on somebody else, like outside of just straight stand up. So, and since then I've kind of opened it up. Like we have one magician, we have one juggler. We just brought on a mind reader, Eric Diddleman, last month. He was on America's Got Talent in the semifinals. So that kind of, the changes over the years to fit the market. And obviously some of those variety acts are some of our most booked acts. So it's like, oh yeah, well, maybe you should have done that earlier. But again, it was also finding that perfect fit, and I wasn't bringing on another guy just doing, a straitjacket bit just because, and I even have a joke with Ben Seidman saying, if you ever do a straitjacket in your act, like you will be removed from the roster. Just think it's hacky. And just, so again, I'm always looking for something good, clever, unique, and just not hack.
Are there any trends inside the college market towards one type of comic?
Pretty wide open. We go to every conference, so we kind of see what's out there. And luckily, then I think we do really well in the market. And so that's, again, it's kind of reassuring to know that I'm doing something right as far as picking the right people that we have showcased, because we first get through to the process of getting selected, because that's a process all on its own. And second, when they do get selected to showcase, they typically do well. So those are it's all the different hurdles to get past. You see guys getting selected to showcase, and just because you get selected to showcase doesn't mean you're going to actually get work. And you see that a lot of times too. Guys making it to the dance, but then going home alone. With, 0 bookings, and some of that I blame their agent, not assisting them with maybe the material to use, and not dropping F-bombs or whatever. Going back to the cleanliness aspect of it, so I'm pretty good at kind of corralling my talent too, as far as like, hey, I am not a comedian by all means. I never will be. But I know comedy, I know what it works, and I just take a lot of their acts and restructure them to fit the showcase mold, I guess. And NACA showcases are 10 minutes now. They used to be 20, and then they were 15, and now they're universally 10 minutes. Unless you're an MC, where you get up to 25 minutes, and then you got to break up your act during the different acts, like you mentioned earlier.
Hey, sorry to barge in the middle of the podcast. This is Rick, and I just wanted to let you know I found out just moments ago that my episode of the PureFlix Comedy All-Stars is now available on pureflix.com. If you like clean entertainment, you might like PureFlix, PureFlix.com. Log in, sign up for a 30-day free trial, and check out the Comedy All-Stars, hosted by Sinbad, Louis Anderson, and Jeff Allen. I'm on the season with Jeff Allen. All right, just wanted to share that with you. Now back to the episode. Another thing I wanted comics to kind of find out about as far as NAC is the block booking aspect of it and the routing, how well that works out. And from your standpoint as the agent, just talk about being there at one of those regionals after the showcases and the people coming to the booth and checking dates and how that whole thing works. That's unique to the college market.
NACA is like, I think 54 54, 55 years old, I believe. I'm not exactly sure the exact date. So I guess the concept when they started that was just that, like trying to block book, which means obviously, bringing in at a conference regionally, like different schools. For example, the Northern Plains was in April, and you have like University of Wisconsin, Whitewater, and then all the other Superior, Stout, etc. So they'll all be there. In theory, when the moons align, they like XYZ act, and like they'll all sit in a block booking meeting afterwards, and they'll say, okay, we want this comic on August 15th. And they're like, great. The next school that's 20 minutes away, hey, we're going to book him or her on the next night, and et cetera, et cetera. The comedians and the bands, whatever, give different price breakdowns. They have an isolated price, on, like if they were just booking them like as a one-off, but then they give routed dates discounts, which is called their 3 of 5 price and their 5 of 7, which basically means 3 dates, 3 colleges within 5 days, or 5 colleges within 7 days, and you give them a price break, whether it's $100 or $500 off or whatever. It just depends on what you, I guess, again, what your price tag is to assist with, just trying to sweeten the pot a little bit, to stretch their financial dollars throughout the school year, because every school is different. Some schools will come in your booth and we'll ask, like, hey, what's your budget for the year? And they'll say $1 million. And others are like, all right, we have 8,000 for the year. And we're like, right. Oh, well, I guess you're not doing a whole lot of comedy. I mean, if you're booking a $2,000 comic and you've got 6,000 left over for the rest of the year, it's not going to work very well. So we just know that at these regional conferences, that some schools are doing more. You'll have schools that do comedy series. They'll do every Friday for the whole semester type thing, and then others will book one a semester or one a year. So it's just our job as far as meeting and making relationships with those schools and kind of taking notes on what their specific needs are. They've actually changed it a little bit over the years. It used to be all pen and paper, literally, like they have forms in triplicate where like and this is the way it was for the first, I say 52 years. I mean, you'd come in and it was just a mad dash for everybody coming in with their forms getting signed, and then when somebody would slam dunk, that would be the best. For example, I mean, I mentioned Roy Wood Jr. earlier. We were in Nashville about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer than that. I don't even remember the year, but he got 102 forms on site, and people were fighting over the dates and saying like, well, I got that in first. We want September 12th for our homecoming or whatever. So yeah, it was just so like archaic now when you think about it, with like the pen and paper, and I had just a stack of these booking forms just trying to make sense. And it's easy when it's you get like 20 days, but when you get 100, it's crazy. And there's only so many school days in the year. So to get them all in. Yeah. And every year, typically somebody at a conference, there's always just like one comedian that usually slam dunks at the national, which is great. So he or she can, make a good chunk of change in one calendar year just doing that. So
this is something that comics might be wondering that are listening. So you want to do the college market and you need a tape for it, but you're in clubs and the clubs can run a little older. I guess the ideal comic would be one that always had a foot in the club, so they were tight and sharp, but they also had material that could be narrowed down specifically for the college market, because you could lose some of the older people with your Xbox jokes and whatever in the club. So how hard is it for comics to get a good tape to start the submission process, or they just get it while they're at a college? What do you say?
That's funny you ask. There's guys on my roster I've been asking for a new tape for years, and they're procrastinators, and so I mean, here's a tip for every comedian. Are you listening, comedians? Do you know that you can go to Walmart and buy the nicest video camera that they have and use it for a month and return it before the month and get your money back? Go do that. It's so simple. I tell so many comics that. It's like, listen, go get the best one, because there's always going to be something that happens when you tape, whether it's somebody walks in front of the set, or the recorder, or the waitress is dropping drinks or whatever. I mean, it's tough to get that prime tape. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can find a place that you can get on stage quite a bit, whether it's your home club or other clubs, to just work on, the college submission reel doesn't need to be very long. I mean, you can knock that out in like 3 minutes. So the submission policy, the way it is now, they look at 90 seconds. That's it. And they can look up to 2 minutes, but I've done some homework, and most of the time they just watch from 90 seconds. So if you watch, a lot of times the way I edit the videos on our college pages, it's 90 seconds. Like the joke, we try to end the joke at that point, just for that reason. So, and then just add extra at the back end as well in case somebody else is looking. But it's not that difficult. So go out, do your homework, find the materials you need. And here's another great tip. Go to the college in your town. There's a college within 30 minutes of you, I promise. So call them up and say, I will give you a free show. Promote that show and go in, like I said, if you're looking to, do material that's strictly to the college crowd, go to a college. Again, get all the materials you need as far as the production end to make that work. Test it ahead of time, make sure it is working correctly, and ask the school and say, hey, can I do a free show? And just record it. So
that's awesome.
I've said that about 100 times, and has anybody ever done it? I don't know, but
well, it is the bane of the comedy existence is getting that good tape, and I think you got to record, just have it record every show, and you're going to catch lightning in a bottle a few times, and that's what you go with.
I agree. But what do I know?
Well,
I'm on this side. I'm on this side of the fence. I know what I would do. So,
yeah. Well, how about on that front, just to close out, are some do's and don'ts for comics, whether they're looking into college or anything else, just as a booking agent, stuff that, like not having a recent video, can drive you crazy? And
see what comedians are showcasing at NACA. Look at their reels. See what they submit, and what obviously if it's working for them, try and model your set, not your set, but your just the production quality, and maybe some of the kind of material wise that kind of leans towards that market. Don't go in there talking about your IRA or your kids or whatever. It's just that material is just never going to go over, because the 18 to 22 year olds just really don't want to hear it. So it's got to be universal for them. So
that's cool. And Lance, I'm going to hit you with the music question. If you had one concert left to see, and you may have seen all these before, but front row seats, meet and greet, the whole 9 yards, Iron Maiden, Metallica, or Kiss?
Wow. All right. Well, have you been on my Facebook wall lately?
Just a little bit.
Because I am a metal guy, but I listen to all music. But Kiss was my first concert ever. I saw Iron Maiden on Friday, and I'm seeing Metallica on Saturday in Chicago. So that is funny that you chose those three. I've met some members of Iron Maiden before. I'd like to meet Metallica, and it'd probably be that, I'd say. Yeah, they've been kind of the root of the metal scene that I kind of jumped onto back in high school, and so yeah.
That's cool. I like their new song, the Moth into a Flame. Have you heard that one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that thing rocks.
Yeah. It's my favorite new one. So
cool. Yeah, my first concert was Kiss in '77 when I was in third grade.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, Chuck, for taking some time and kind of laying out the college scene from where you're at. And I know comics listening around the world are a little bit more enlightened for your time. So thank you very much.
Yeah. You're absolutely welcome. If anybody has any questions, I'm really good at kind of letting comics know too, yes or no, whether or not I think that they would be a good fit. And you can ask many other comics too that I said I get like 3 to 5 a day. Almost every time I will respond and say, well, I think you'd be a good fit for this. If I do think they are a good fit for the market, say, hey, again, they're not right for me, but maybe reach out to XYZ, because there are plenty of other agencies out there, and I try to help everybody out as much as I can out there. So
Oh, that's cool. Well, I'm sure you'll get a few more emails once this thing goes up. So be prepared.
I don't mind. It's part of the gig. I don't mind. I'm not jaded yet. It's 19 years, and when does that start? Is it at 20? I don't know.
Well, that's a good question, because I was going to say earlier that you are a guy who still likes comedy, and you still laugh, and you still have a good time around it, and you haven't shut that whole door all the way. You're still in there doing it. That's what makes you good at what you do. You're in the thing that you like to do. So hopefully you'll never get.
Yeah, well, it's the best job in the world. I mean, I don't care if you're on the joke selling side or the joke telling side. It's not brain surgery what we do. You guys tell the jokes, we sell the jokes, and I mean all the BS in between there's really not much to it. It's a pretty good gig.
And you've never had the desire to get up there and do comedy, or have you?
I host some things here and there, but no, I don't. My wife tells me I'm not very funny, so there you go.
There you go, man. Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate you carving some time out today.
You bet, buddy. It's a good chat with you, and let me know if we can help you with anything else.
All right, thanks, Joe. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, see ya.
All right, have a good one. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Chuck Johnson from Summit Comedy, Inc. You heard him, gang. He gets 3 to 5 emails a day, and I warned him he might be getting a lot more than that after people listen to this episode. But, he's pretty cool. He'll just look at what you have if you contact him and say, hey, you probably would be good for the college market, or it's probably not a good fit. It might be a fit with his group. It might not be. But, man, inside information from Chuck Johnson. If you're thinking about the college market, you might want to take advantage of that offer and just contact him, tell him you heard him on the podcast, and you just kind of want him to take a quick peek at your stuff. That didn't sound right. Take a quick look at your video or your website and that kind of stuff, and get some feedback. Don't overwhelm him, but again, he offered, so there it is. Chuck Johnson, great guy, and appreciate him doing the interview today. Hey, a couple ways you can improve your comedy is to focus on your writing, and I've got some options for you to help you with that. If you're in the Nashville, Tennessee area, I'll be running the stand-up comedy level 1 writing classes Mondays, August 7th, 14th, and 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. The investment for you into your comedy career is $200, and if that seems like a lot, I apologize for your mindset, but it's not that much to invest in your career. I don't know how much engineers pay to learn how to be an engineer, how much pilots invest into becoming a pilot, but to be a comedian, you need to invest in what you're doing. And if the writing you have isn't clicking, it's not getting the laughs you want, whether it's my class or somebody else, you should probably look into it just to kind of figure out what you're missing out on. My class, again, happens this August. If you're interested in that, you can shoot me an email, schooloflaughs@gmail.com. If you're not in the Nashville area, the online writing class is a great option. You can go to schooloflaughs.com and click the online class option there to find out more about that. And right now, I'm running a summer special. If you want to get in at the silver level and take that writing class, I'll give you 20% off if you use the coupon code BETTERCOMEDY, BETTERCOMEDY. That's 20% off the silver edition all summer long. That will expire in the first week of September 2017 if you're picking up on this podcast a little late in the game. Other than that, I would like to read one more quick iTunes review. This is from SPFLD Guy. I'm assuming that's Springfield Guy, but who knows, could be something else. He gives us a 5-star review and says, Rick gives great insight to help young comics, as well as provide some refresher knowledge for veteran comedians. A must listen for comedians of all levels. Hey, thank you, Springfield Guy, SPFLD Guy. We do try to make the podcast something that anybody at any level can learn from. And man, picked up a lot of good information today from Chuck Johnson. I hope you enjoyed that podcast and appreciate you being with us. I'm going to leave you with one quick sponsor note, and then we'll be out. So stay safe, stay humble, and stay funny.
Hi, this is Leslie Norris Townsend, and I want to invite you to be a part of the Clean Comedy Challenge 2017 in Pasadena, California, and in Chicago, Illinois. This is our 7th year for this one-of-a-kind conference that includes 3 days of learning, writing, performing, and hanging with the pros in the comedy business. The Clean Comedy Challenge invites comedians at all levels to have a chance to work on a real comedy stage or to fill out an ambition on their bucket list just to be a part of the comedy comedy business. Go to cleancomedychallenge.com for more details. When you register, make sure you mention the School of Laughs podcast so I know where you came from. Be a part of the comedy train. Woo-woo!
Thanks for listening to the School of Laughs podcast. If you'd like to hear more School of Laughs podcasts, you can find them on iTunes and Stitcher.com. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For information on upcoming live and online classes, visit schooloflaughs.com. Until next time, stay tuned, stay focused, and stay funny.